Hello everyone and welcome to Daily Game Review number 96. Today we have Fastumek 5Q versus Yllin. So let's go ahead and see how it goes. We played this one, a little unconventional, but possible. It's still fine. I'm not sure if many people know this, but actually the conventional way is to play this 3-4 rather than this 3-4. It's not too important, but the difference is kind of old-fashioned manner. The reason is normally your opponent would sit across from you on the top side of the board. Normally they would want to play the corner that will allow them to approach the shimmer. In this case, this would be the bottom right-hand corner, and players were generally right-handed back in the day. It was the closest corner and the most convenient corner to play. Therefore, Black played this one since he wanted to give White the easy corner on his first move out of respect for him. However, it's not too important today because there's a lot of people who just go across anyway. And since most people play online, it's not that big of a deal, but it's a nice little idea and nice little manneristic thing. And it's a tradition that many professionals still carry out, and many professionals and amateurs still carry out even today. So I thought it was a fun little fact to share with you guys. Anyway, that's why this one's a little unconventional, but no big deal. And White, if you're going to play a corner, I would recommend this one for the same reason, because you want support when you approach. This one, you don't want to approach from this side, so it's kind of strange to play this one. It's not too big of a deal though, so we see this. And Black plays an that you don't see too often, but it's still possible. White chooses to ignore the approach and go for this approach. Everything so far has been possible. Alright, now we see a pincer and Seki. A little strange order, but still fine. Um, Alright, let's see the actual. Oh, like this. Sorry. White, I don't think you know this Joseki, because if you go here, then Black has this move on it, and it looks like White's gonna die. Well, I'm thinking something's wrong. That's what you would normally expect, right? Something like that. But regardless, I would still exchange this. That way, I have some odds. So let's think of what the Joseki actually is. The Joseki is normally here, here, uh, here, 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 here. That's the Joseki. Now, when Black goes under, here and then here, and then sometimes you can this. There's here, and there's a lot of stuff. It really depends on the board. There's no ladder, so in the game, White wanted to Atari here. This is also a Joseki, but I'm thinking since connecting here kills a stone, thinking you have to be here. This is a Joseki I haven't studied recently. It's not something I've played recently. So I'm thinking it's something like this. And now if Black chooses to go out, White gets lots of forcing moves. So, and now even if the cornerstone die, White gets a lot of forcing moves outside, so it should be okay. But don't quote me on this, guys. Don't quote me on this. I haven't studied this recently, so go ahead and look it up and let me know what the actual result is, because I haven't studied this one. Studied this one. And if I go this way, Seki, because it's super simple. To go here, I think White should go here. Looks like Black should. I'm honestly not sure, guys. I'm not sure about this Joseki, and I don't want to tell you wrong. So I'm not going to. I think it should be something like this, but I don't want to say something is correct or not correct when I don't know for sure. So I guess I'll just recommend looking it up because I never look at these games in advance because I like giving you my honest opinions. And it should be helpful for you to analyze your own games because you won't always know. You won't always have me there to help you and just tell you. So hopefully not everyone will mind just looking if you don't know it. If you do know it, let me know. Let me know what the actual variation is. So I'm gonna judge it by the result I see. And the result I see is this. Now this result is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13 points for black. And a little bit out. I don't think the influence is worth more than 10 points. Even if white gets an extension, I think it's slightly good for black. I want to say it's slightly good for black because white still owes one here and then extension here. Now it's not bad. It's not completely bad for white, but I think it's maybe 2 or 3 points good for black because normally influence is considered 10 points. Like this is a good way to think about it is 10 points. Now it can be argued that this is. Oops, sorry. It can be argued that this whole bottom side is a little bit bigger than 10 points, but at the same time, black has Sente and black gets to go here. So it's hard to say. It's hard to say. I want to say, compared to what I normally see, it feels slightly good for black, but I don't think it's like too terrible for white either. I think maybe black only has it maybe 2 point advantage. I will say this move is important because if you neglect this move and play here directly, oh, this is the actual game. White can play or black can play this move, which gives a lot of forcing moves and a lot of ways to reduce this influence very easily. Therefore, this move is kind of important for white. Yeah. So in this case, I definitely think it's good for black. All right, so black ignored. Black, weak groups first. Back the weak group. Go ahead and gain your profit. It's already good enough. Yes, white has a big bottom side, but there's no major issue there. Like, that's all normal. And the top left is not normal. Top left is in black's favor. So here you want to make sure it's in your favor, and then you can go play the normal. Like, you want to attack weakness, gain profit and Sente first, and then you can go play the normal. So I would expect something like that. This is a normal move. Ooh, nope, nope. Big, 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 big mistake, guys. So I'm going to teach you guys a cool secret if you don't already know it. This shape here can never be pincered like with this. The reasoning is white goes. Ooh, white does it in the game. Good job, white. So this is the reasoning. This stone and this stone, neither one can make a base and neither one can connect. Therefore, immediately black has 2 weak groups. So this move is not a move in this position. It's only the 3-3, jump up, or an attachment here. Those are the 3 most common moves in this area. This and probably this are not really considered moves, especially this one. This one's especially not considered a move because white has this 3-3 immediately, and then you can just push through and cut no matter what black does. This fight is going to be good for you, good for white. So it's immediately good for white. That's why you'll never see this move be played, unless there's some surrounding stones, of course. But in this exact position, with no outside influence or no outside help for black or nothing outside changing, this move is not a move for black. That's why I just plays 3-3. So it's a really, really important secret. All right, so white chooses to cut this one, and as long as black doesn't settle anywhere. Tiger's Mouth is the vital point. You're not wrong, but black can actually block it this way. So therefore, you have to defend this stone first. Then black will get the Tiger's Mouth, yes, but he'll be attacking himself at the bottom, so okay for white. So defend your weakness first before attacking black, and taking black's Tiger's Mouth is kind of an attack. So I don't want to give black this move. Therefore, I think this more a little bit more urgent. All right, so black played here. Now it's definitely good for white. Does white have the ladder? I don't. And oh, white does have the ladder. Ooh, white has the ladder. White does have the ladder. Ooh, cut immediately. Perfect for white. No, white, you didn't see the ladder. You didn't see a ladder. It looks like it runs into the stone, but you don't. When you push it, where is it? It was. Um, yeah, you Atari, it goes this way, and then you Atari, it goes this way. You don't Atari here and push it this way. You would just keep pushing it down to the edge, and it'll come right here and then go straight down and die. But it actually doesn't go into. So this is a ladder. If you played this, it would be really good for white. So almost white. Make sure you always read the ladders, guys. Always read the ladders. And I'm going to give you guys a little tip for improving your reading. Whenever you see a ladder, read it out in your head. I don't care if you know the result or don't know the result. Read it out. Why do I say this? Because ladders are the best exercises for visualizing stones on the board. I don't mean just follow the line like I just did. That's my little quick thing I do when I'm making a video. When it's in the actual game, I'll read it stone for stone. And the reason I do this is because it's really, really good exercise. Reading ladders and doing ladder problems are really good exercises for visualizing stones. They're very easy to keep track of and very easy to see long sequences and know that you're still correct, but at the same time, reading long sequences will force you to visualize many, many stones on the board. This is important because when you're reading in a game, you will need to be able to see these stones clearly in your mind. That way you can accurately see how many liberties and any types of tesujis or any types of shapes or patterns in these readings. And the further you can read and visualize accurately, the easier it will be to find tesujis in a 10 move sequence or something. And that is very, very important for higher level play because you need to see 10 or 15 moves in advance sometimes, and you're like, okay, what's this shape going to look like at the end of this? And you need to be able to recognize this either life and death shape, this Tsuji shape, or the amount of liberties every stone has, any types of cuts. You need to be able to recognize that in your head. And it's not easy, especially at this level. It's not easy to do. But if you start working on it early, it'll be much easier to do later. So reading ladders and doing Go problems. Of course, doing Go problems will advance your shape recognition and Tsujis and blah, blah, blah. But reading ladders will improve your deep reading stone visualization skills. So ladders are very, very good to visualize each and every stone of and read it out, even if you already know the result, because visualizing all the stones is really good practice for visualization of deep reading. Okay, enough about that. So we're gonna keep going. Black's gonna run with these stones. So Black, what are you? I think Black's getting desperate because Black played an originally bad move, right? There's no good result. There's no opinion I can give on how to deal with this because it's all gonna be bad. No matter what Black plays, is gonna be bad for Black. So, Black's just trying to fight, right? So White should have laddered the stone. Black's running with the cutting stone. I don't think it's gonna be good for Black, but whatever. So White just needs to attack everything and not die. About that not dying thing. Did you just immediately die? I hope not. Yes. Not here because you can escape like that, but here, these stones are in a lot of trouble. So White has to play something like this and escape, and then Black can play this. Okay, so not quite dead, but really bad shape for. Therefore, this results. So, but here, if these are gonna die anyway, then just kill something, right? And then you can just do that in Sente. Okay, you got profit, and then just kill these stones. Black got 2 stones, you got 3 stones, but yours is much bigger than Black's, and I think this is already good enough. Don't get greedy. Don't get greedy. You missed the ladder. The fact that you missed the ladder already kind of hurt you pretty badly. If you don't see the ladder, then probably you needed to play this one because you need to kill these stones. You need to kill cutting stones. Cutting stones are very important and very vital in this fight. So killing the cutting stone is more important here. And so probably Nobi down is what you need. However, after Black plays this move, it threatens the Hane and threatens the net. So you have to pick one to save because this one tries to save both, but I'm not convinced. Good because it led to this result. But in the game, White played here. I didn't actually look at this side. Work? If it works. No, I still like Black. Even if these 3 stones die, I still like. No, this doesn't work. This definitely doesn't work. Die versus no eye. If anything, you actually hurt your own. Okay. This result looks in White's favor. because black died bigger. If I was black, I would have just gone here and just got thickness and gave up 3 stones. Because remember, I was aiming for white. I was aiming to kill these stones. But now I just do this, get this thickness, and voila. It's still good for white because everything's good for white, right? Everything here is going to be good for white. But I think this is more bearable for black than the other variation. So I was thinking something along these lines. That's why I wasn't thinking this was a bad move, but I wasn't a fan of this move compared to something like the ladder or down. Compared to that, I was a fan of this strategy. However, black chose to play here, and now this actually doesn't work for black. I thought it was going to be eye versus no eye, right? But then white immediately escaped. And then the 3 stones here didn't die. And if they didn't die, if none of the cutting stones died, that means that black just died bigger than he should have. So I thought it was going to be good. But this result, if black dies, it looks good for white. I mean, sorry, I thought it was going to be good for black, but in this case, it looks good for white. Black still does get his thickness, though. But he died bigger than he should have. He should have got the thickness without giving white all that. White, stop lowering your own liberties. Learn to jump. Learn to Clossi. Learn to run with better shape. Don't keep giving your opponent Hane head. No, run. Run away. Run away like the coward you want to be, because getting surrounded is not good for you. Yes, you can kill these stones, but what happens when black just plays, yeah, this move, and just gets all that thickness? It's not good for you. Therefore, don't let it happen. So something I think was very easy to prevent. So remember, guys, playing, or this is kind of considered eye space because these are already dead, right? So it's nothing but eye space. And this would be considered kind of step 3. You're trying to make the eyes before running away. And step 2, which is surround or run away, is bigger than step 3 because these are not going to live. They're already dead. Therefore, letting black get the surrounding stuff is just good for black. So there's no reason to let it happen. Now the result overall, I think, is good for white because these stones are bigger than they should have been. But then black got this thickness move. So I'm still having trouble evaluating it. I think it's probably good for black now. Why do I think that? Actually, it's because of this move. Because remember, there was some bad liberties here. And now this is thickness. And white gave him this move. So it's not like you have a tiger's mouth or threaten to cut or anything. There's not even a cut here anymore. So what happens when I play this? And use the thickness to attack white's position on the bottom. So getting out was actually very big because I thought it kept the results in my mind kept changing. It was good for black 1 second, it was good for white the next second, and this result and the end result, since white didn't escape, I think is good for black because I think the thickness here is more valuable than the territory here because of all the weakness here. It's still really hard to evaluate this because every single move in there kept changing the result. So it may sound like I have no idea what I'm talking about, but honestly, it's not completely wrong. I'm not a pro, so I can only evaluate it at my level. But in my eyes, there was many mistakes in that left side, and every single mistake kept changing the result. So it was really hard to evaluate perfectly because I expected something to happen in my own mind. As soon as I see it, I kind of instantly read 2 or 3 moves, and I see a shape, and I see a position, and I evaluate the result kind of immediately just by instinct, right? And that's why I said, okay, this looks good for white, or this looks good for black. And then they don't play the move I expect them to, and the result changes. So I think there was many mistakes in this side for both players. At the end, I think the results should have been good for white no matter what, because black played f3, and that was a mistake, so it should have been good for white. However, letting black get all of this thickness, I think, is just too good for black. And this thickness is right next to a weak group. So if black attacks this group, I kind of like black. Therefore, I think both players made mistakes, white just made probably one or two more than black. This move is also not too, it's not big enough compared to this type of move. Because you have to help this, and you can help it with a counter. This we just live. Going to be good for black up here, but this is kind of good for white down here. So it's a very difficult position. Very difficult position. Tanuki is not the way to play. Okay, so we have gone quite a bit long for this video, but it was quite an interesting fight. And I think that's a lot of stuff. I think that's a lot of stuff to learn from in that fight. Is there's a lot of mistakes that are being made in just a single fight, and now both players are ignoring the profit in general. So, what can we learn from this? Well, actually, we can learn a lot of simple moves, but the concepts are really difficult. This is probably one of the most complicated things about Go. And I think what I want you to take away from this is middle game fighting, like that was definitely a middle game fight because it was a big fight, is very, very, very important. Because every single move that you play could theoretically change the result in the entire position on the entire board. So you saw how I kept changing opinions, kept saying this move and that move, and how each time that my move played versus what was actually played could change the result drastically, right? So just one move difference or one move at one spot instead of the other spot could drastically change the result. And I want to say that middle game fighting is the difference between can probably become the difference between like 5 different ranks or more. So the reason I want to say that is because you can study the opening, you can study end game. These are things you can study. Middle game fighting is all about experience and reading. This is not something you can just immediately improve. It's one of the most difficult things to improve, actually. And at the same time, it's probably one of the most important things to improve. And to emphasize this, I want to go over a theory which I told one of my students the other day, is when you play Go, you want to play moves efficiently to make territory. You want to make territory efficiently. And if you make them inefficient, then your opponent's going to get more, right? And efficiency means making the most territory with the least amount of moves possible. Or doing the most with the least amount of moves possible. So what happens when both players are equally efficient? How do you win? Well, the only way to gain an advantage over your opponent is to attack a weakness somewhere and gain a slight 1 or 2 point edge, and then continually play moves just as good as your opponent or better, right? But if both players are equally efficient, then the only way to win is to attack a weakness somewhere and gain a little bit more, gain an edge, and then proceed with the rest of the game. And that's where attack and defense comes in. So, theoretically, if both players are equal in strength in all other aspects, then the game is going to be decided at the fight. Therefore, the difference in skill level, theoretically, is at the fight. Of course, there are other aspects, and Go isn't so simple that theory is 100% accurate. It's actually not. But with this theory, we can say if you want to beat someone your level, or you want to increase your level a bit, fighting is definitely the way to do that. Because if you can outfight your opponent, then you can easily beat them, actually, because every single fight will likely go in your favor. But of course, every other aspect of your game has to be just as good or better than your opponent as well. So you have to improve every aspect, and then your fighting is probably the part that'll change it and give you that edge. So think of it this way. Your opening is your armor, and your end game is, I don't know, let's say your opening and your end game is your battle armor, right? If you're a soldier and you have battle armor and blah blah blah, your opening and your end game is your battle armor. Now, if you're facing someone with no armor, then it becomes very easy to win a fight. But if you're facing someone who's also in armor, also dressed up in very nice armor, then the difference is your ability in fighting and tactics. So while all the stuff isn't important, in my opinion, the fighting is the most important out of all of them, and also the most difficult to improve. So I think there's a lot of stuff to learn here, a lot of concepts, but I want you to really take away from this that fighting is probably the most difficult thing to improve, And the best way to improve it is experience and reading, and also game reviews like this. It's not something that you can just say this position will ever happen again. You can prepare for the fight as much as possible, but eventually the fight's going to go a certain way that no one has ever seen before because Go positions never repeat theoretically. It's I don't think a Go position has ever repeated as far as I know. Therefore, the middle game fighting is all going to be on you. No one else has ever played the position that you're going to play in every single game you play. Therefore, you have to come up with your own fights and your own tactics. But there's other ways you can do to improve, and hopefully, I gave you guys some ideas on what to think about and things to check. And that's what you want to take away from game reviews that have to deal with fighting. You want to take tactics, their what their understanding was, because their judgment can help you judge a result in your own head in your own game. Having higher level judgment, you can learn from their judgment and compare it to your own judgment, and then adjust your judgment to improve your global judgment in your own games. Then there's also ideas and concepts like you want to run away before you play on the inside, uh, capture the cutting stones if possible, stuff like this, right? These are concepts you can take away from, and that's basically what you want to learn from fights. Yes, the individual moves won't repeat, but sometimes concepts and theories and tactics will. So the fighting is probably the most difficult aspect in Go to improve, but when you do game reviews and you see them focusing on the fight, try to pay special attention to the tactics and reasoning rather than just only the moves, because the moves won't repeat, but the tactics and reasoning behind the moves may very well repeat. So again, this is super complicated. Hopefully you understood it, and hopefully you found this video helpful. I hope I didn't confuse you too much, but yeah, anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you guys next time.